Hiya guys and welcome back. Today we've got a brand new review and we've got Ty West's 2024 horror MAXXXINE. This is the third movie in the trilogy. It's obviously a sequel to X, but we've also got the prequel Pearl. Basic premise of the story, MAXXXINE has escaped the events that happened in X and now she's on her way to Hollywood to make a name for herself and to become the next big star. Jenks, what did you think about this one?
Uh, I really liked it. It's got plenty of flaws, which I'll happily discuss.
Yeah, I have
um,
no doubt.
um, but I liked it. I liked there's a Night Stalker taking out sort of um, prostitutes and strippers and things like that, and just females in general. And I tell you what I really liked about this movie. There's a lot of films that's got the 80s sort of vibe, but this takes the sort of dirtiness of the 80s. And I don't just mean the sex, I just mean the griminess of the decade. I think people have this sort of fantasy about the 80s, everyone being like cool haircuts and the music. It's a bit like the 70s, everyone was thinking everybody had afros and on roller skates. Well, reality was the 70s was nobody had money. It was crime was terrible. It was grimy, dirty. And the 80s was a little bit like that. I can't completely speak for America because we're born
Yes, yeah.
in Britain, but I just think it wasn't as as a fantasy of 80s. So I liked all that. I love Mia Goth. I think she's a fantastic actress,
She's
and
so good.
I just every time she's on screen, I feel like there's a lot of talk about her being like, oh, how come she hasn't won all these awards? How come she's not getting an Oscar? Now, obviously, I can't speak for her, but it feels like to me that she doesn't give a shit. She's like, I'm doing my
No.
own thing. I don't need that. I can
Well,
sense
the
this confidence,
the
you know?
type of movies she's in and the character she plays, these movies are never up for Oscars.
No.
When's the last time we seen a horror movie at the Oscars? You get the odd occasion script or things like that.
Yeah.
But acting wise, if she keeps doing the film she's doing, which I would much prefer to do, who cares about the Oscars?
Yes.
She's not going to win an Oscar because these MAXXXINE's not going to be in the Oscars for best female. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I've pretty much loved her in all the films. I loved her in the.
Yes.
I really enjoyed A Cure for Wellness. It didn't do very well.
Yeah,
It's a
that's a good
stri-
one.
yeah, it's a strange thing. I didn't know who she was. I had to Google her.
Yeah.
But she's very unique. And you know what I love about her is that she's got no eyebrows. She's almost like me, right? Yet all these girls are painting on these massive eyebrows and doing this and that, and she's not conforming at all ever.
Yeah, she's rocking about with none.
Yeah, with that, I'm sure she has. I think they're just a bit like mine,
Very,
like
very
very
fair.
faint. Looks like I've
Yeah,
been
yeah.
on a stag party and someone shaved mine off. But I just think I would love to have that kind of confidence of like, I don't give a shit. I'm doing my own thing, and I'm not just talking about the character Maxine. I'm talking about the actual
Yes.
actress now.
Yes. Yeah.
She's brilliant. She's great, and she's good in all of them. I didn't like Pearl. I know you feel the same about Pearl. It's very boring. I know people loved it, but she's brilliant in it. That's not the
Yes,
reason
of
why it's not
course.
good. And for me, this was a great film. It wasn't as good as X, in my opinion. I know it was a different movie, but I still enjoyed it. Yeah,
Yeah, of course. Now, I really enjoyed this film. Like you said, I really don't think it's a patch on X. Now,
no,
I went to see X and I was blown away. It
me too.
really spoke to me, that sense of, well, the what was it? The Texas porno massacre,
Yes,
like the newspaper article in
yeah,
MAXXXINE.
the Texas Pawn
And
Star Massacre.
yeah, and that's exactly what X was. And I love Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and they really captured that essence perfectly. Now, MAXXXINE did that as well for the 80s and, the Italian Giallo movies. It really tapped into those senses brilliantly. But I was a little bit disappointed leaving this one. Now, I really liked it. It was a great film,
Yeah.
but I wasn't a big fan of Pearl, right? Um, and I felt like Maxine was more like Pearl than
Yeah.
X. It was a character piece about a woman who would do anything to be famous. It followed a lot of the same character points and beats as Pearl as well. I
Yes.
literally just feel like they chucked Pearl into this scenario. What I loved about the film is exactly what you said, Jenks. The 80s aesthetic, the sleazy underground feel of
Yes, sleazy.
Hollywood. Oh my god, it's such a sleazy movie
Yeah,
that I
grimy,
wanted to
isn't
take a
it?
shower when I go home. Like
Yes. Uh,
every character in there feels sleazy. Even her agent, played by Giancarlo Esposito, everyone's
yes.
a little bit sleazy in there.
Yes, you've
Uh,
got, you got, what's his name in Breaking Bad now? Gus, right? And what you say, he is sleazy, but he's got the worst wig you've ever seen.
yes,
Now,
yeah, yeah,
because he's like a black guy, Mexican, you can clearly see that is not his real hair. He's got like a
yeah,
really
yeah.
neat quiff. Now, I don't know whether he was going for like a quiff or he's got a wig on in in the film, but I know he's a very stereotypical character, but this is the first film I've seen him as not Gus. He is a
Ah,
bit
there's
sleazy,
plenty. Yeah.
but he tends to be. They cast him as Gus all the time,
After Breaking Bad,
after
yeah, of
Breaking
course.
Bad.
Um,
Yeah, carry on. Sorry.
I'll be meeting him in less than a month.
Really,
Um, yes, he's coming to Newportcon, so it's only up the road from me.
Gus?
Um, yes,
That's
yes,
amazing.
I'll be meeting him in less than a month in Comic Con Newport.
Oh,
It's
that's
about a 30-minute drive from me, and I'm gonna go meet
that's
Gus
awesome.
Fringlack.
My favorite character in this film, putting aside Mia Goth, because I love her and everything. She's great. I loved Kevin Bacon.
Yes,
I'm
he's
a
so good in it.
I just love Kevin Bacon in general. Okay, the guy has played a pedo in multiple times. He doesn't care. He was in Tremors as this cool character, and he plays this sleazy private investigator.
He's
And
extra sleazy, in he?
yeah, he's horrible. I know it's the '80s,
Yeah,
smoking all the time in a
the gold
restaurant.
tooth.
Oh, gold teeth. He looks horrible. And there's a scene where Maxine just fucks him up, right?
Oh,
I
I
won't go
know.
into too much detail about what happens, but she is a badass, and I don't mean like a Hollywood strong woman. She the
You
way
know,
she's a
walking
badass.
away from the scene in slow
Yeah,
motion,
yeah,
like.
but bomb going off behind her. Everything she does, that's the badass, is she uses her environment, weapons, whatever. She's not stronger than a man, and throwing him against the wall. She is very sort of just very inventive how she deals with these guys, and she fucks him up so well, and it's so believable. You're thinking, oh,
Yeah,
you didn't see that coming, but he's great in it. He is again. He's one of those actors that I would say that he's never really had any downtime in his career. It's a bit like Woody Harrelson. He's just in
maybe, EE.
forever. Say it again.
Maybe EE. The
Yeah.
EE ads.
Well, those are over here in Britain. They're probably America doesn't even know. Like when people go over to China to do these
Yeah,
adverts.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, he's never had any downtime
No,
that
he
I know
hasn't.
of. Like I said, Woody Harrelson's the same. They've kind of, I think if you're massive, then you can only
It's
fall
a
down.
bigger fall.
If you're somewhere in the middle, you've got a good chance of surviving all the ups and downs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course, like, Kevin Bacon is absolutely a household name, but he's kinda stayed in the middle.
yeah,
Yeah, I know exactly what you
yeah.
mean. He
Uh,
is amazing in this film. I enjoyed his character so much. Every time he was on screen, I was enjoying the film more. Now, what I wanted to delve in properly with this film is well, the character Maxine herself. And this is what I love the most about this film is I didn't really care if anything happened in the movie because again, this comes back to Mia Goth's performance.
yeah,
She's just so mesmerizing to watch, and she just takes everything in her stride. Like, there's a bit, right, where um obviously, and this isn't a spoiler, she has been cast in a movie, and whatever's going on in her life is interfering with this process. And the director says to her, whatever's going on in your personal life, like, it needs to be done. You need to squash it. Go away for the weekend, come back on Monday, and it needs to be done.
yeah.
And she goes, I intend to. And it's such a
Yes,
good line. And then the film just goes from there to there. So
yes.
she's got like a few days now to whatever's interfering with her life, she has to squash.
Yeah, and I think that was the moment where I was enjoying it, and I found the middle a bit of a lull, and I thought, "Where's
Yes.
this going?" And then that line happened exactly. I thought, "Oh, okay, good, right. Let's see some
Yeah, yeah.
badass." It might have come too little, too late. I did like this film, but I think like you said, it wasn't as good as X, and I wouldn't be in a rush to watch it again. I would recommend it, but
Yeah.
not for everybody. My favorite thing in it, one of my favorite things in it, I don't think it's a spoiler. I don't think it matters. Is when they're on set and they visit the set of Psycho,
Yes, of course.
and you see the motel and you see the house, and I don't know whether it's actually a real set or they recreated it. I'm not sure if it's still
No,
there. It's still
it's still
there.
there on
Uh,
Universal lot, yeah.
and I just know seeing it, even though it's a set, it gives you that like, oh my god, this could be the
Yes.
scariest looking set. I couldn't think of anything else that would invoke those sort of feelings of the house and the motel. It's brilliant. I loved
It's the
it.
hill as well. It's such an iconic scene.
Yes,
Uh, and like you said, seeing it in the film was just amazing. I wish they used it better though. Like if you're gonna get the rights to use this location, I feel like something should have happened there. Do you know what I mean?
yes, a little bit
What
more of
if
a homage, seeing as it's a film about the Night Stalker, they could have somehow had
Yes.
a bit of meta going on.
Yeah, exactly. But it was quite cool to obviously see old Pearl in the window, which is obviously a throwback to
Yes,
Norma Bates, and obviously
yes.
Pearl's in the window. That was fantastic.
I would say that for those who want to watch it, you need a strong stomach, especially the scene in the lane with the guy with the knife. Enough said, okay? Because I'm not a very squeamish person, but when I watch it, when I go, oh, that's
Do
horrible.
you know that the reaction? I've never had a reaction quite like that. Right, where my girlfriend had a check on me. She was like, "Are you okay?" Because I was like,
Check.
"Oh God!"
Yeah, I was like,
Um,
I was on my own in the cinema, so I was on my own, and when I go, ah,
really loud,
people are
like.
like, weirdo.
By far one of the most horrific scenes I've ever seen.
Yes.
Something you can look forward to, guys, if you haven't seen it yet. There's a lot in there for gore fans to love.
Yes, and there's not a lot of sex in it. Considering it's a sequel to X
X.
and it's an 18 certificate, they kind of like they dial down the sex maybe to appeal to a bigger audience. But yes, I enjoyed this. I don't think you really need to see X to enjoy
No.
it. I think somebody could give you the gist of it. It's not a complete connection. There's some flashbacks, so I would say quick gist of something is ask somebody who's seen it. You don't have to worry about Pearl. You can watch it if you want. It's kind of a standalone film. But for me, I'm going to give this 4 stars. It has its flaws. If I was doing one out of 10, I would probably give it a 7. So I still would put it into
Yeah.
4 stars. Yeah, that's my rating for this.
Yeah, definitely. 100% agree with you, Jenks. I really enjoyed this one, but I loved X, and that's the difference. I went to this one, I had fun with it, and I left, and I went, yeah, it was a good film. I enjoyed it. But when I left the cinema, and I will compare them because obviously it is a
Yeah,
sequel. When I left the cinema for X, I was like, oh my God,
yeah,
that is one of the best films I've seen. And it's one I've gone back to about 6 times since its release. Now, this one, like you said, Jenks, I won't be in a massive rush to go back and watch it,
yeah,
but I really enjoyed it. It's a great cinema watch. It's a fun movie. It captures the essence of the 80s perfectly, at least the grimy side. And obviously, Mia Goth is absolutely
yeah.
fantastic in it.
What's your stars?
Solid 4 stars from
Four
me.
stars. Right, guys, if you enjoy horror, if you enjoy horror reviews, if you enjoy friendly-ish banter, uh, uh,
Friendly.
please subscribe and we'll catch you on the next one. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys.